What up, my CLK YouTubers? Here's my 1999 CLK 320 motor M112. I wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up on how to do the 12 spark plugs on here, as Mercedes wanted over $1,000 and some shops want like $800. And I was like, no way, I'm not going to do it. My biggest concern was they said you had to jack up the motor. So I did not have to jack up the motor on this, but I will give you a breakdown of a few things. Now, mind you, it's all put back together. You got your air intake here, the air filter box and everything like that. So all of this stuff has to come out. There's another small piece for the air box to come out. There are videos out there how to remove it. It's super easy. And once you, of course, you unplug this, remove the box, then you have your coil packs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once you remove the coil packs, I ended up using a tool called an M30, all right, to get these coil packs out, because you actually just go right down into here, okay? Super easy to get out. They're not on there tight at all. You just crank it once. Once those are out, and of course you can unhook these as well, you can get those coil packs out of there. I recommend labeling them. If you look, I have an L and an L and an L, because you have 2 per cylinder. So I got 6 plugs and 6 wires here. So the L means it's going to come down and go to the left. Come down and go to the left, come down and go to the left. I didn't label the one underneath because on the other side I have an R. So it's confusing, but you'll understand that if you know how to do the project. Once these are removed and off to the side, you actually have access to your spark plugs. A couple tools that I did use were my Mercedes wrench here, which is an amazing wrench. So it allows you to go down and actually grab the spark plug here and kind of use the engine as a fulcrum and kind of pop it off, because these ones were on for 100,000 miles. So I ended up buying that for like 20 bucks. I did buy a pair of kind of 45-degree needle nose, because the 2 plugs against this back firewall here is going to be one here, and there's going to be one on the other side. Those are the hardest to get. So you actually have to go down here, and if you kind of look in that, well, it's hard to see, right in that area, right down there. This is my last plug here. Okay, that's one of the hardest to get to. The other one you can't see because the air intake is here. So again, once that's all removed, you'll have space to work. I did not need to jack this motor up. Some people say you do. I did not. You have to work very slowly. I ended up using I believe it was a 5/8. Let me see on my socket here. Yes, it was a 5/8 socket. All right, deep socket. I ended up going with the Bosch. Let's see if I can get the model number for you. Bosch 7422s. Got 12 of them. They had them on sale. This was the plug that they all look like coming out of there. They were actually original 100,000 mile plugs, because I have about 101,000 miles on here now. They don't look that bad for, being from Mercedes. So I ended up getting those, and then that was really it. I did have a few extenders that you may want to end up using, but you may have to start with a very small one and work your way, because as you start to bring those sockets out, you're going to start to lose space. So you may have to change out the bigger socket extender to a smaller socket extender, and don't back yourself into the firewall, all right? And then the final thing is take your time. Like I said, it's going to be irritating. It took me about 2 days because I had back surgery a few weeks ago and I didn't want to undo it. But they came out great. The car's running amazing. There's no misfire. I pulled the codes. There's no codes. I did clean up some of the coil packs. So the coil packs and the wires are still the same ones, but they were in great shape. If I need to, I can always change these out individually, because they're a lot easier to get than the plugs. But one more thing I will tell you, when you feed the plug in, if you feel any resistance while you're turning that plug in, pull it out, be safe, make sure it is in there. So you always want to start the plug, okay, by hand. Do not start the plug. So as you get the plug in there, make sure you start it by hand. You're probably going to have about that much room as you're down there. And once you do that, make sure, because that plug on that side, the last one, I started it and it really didn't bite. And so it started to feel like it was gonna strip in there. Pulled it out. I safely cleaned it. It looked fine. And then I put a little bit of brand new motor oil on there, just a tiny bit. And then I sprayed the socket hole out with air, and then when I reinserted it and turned it a couple times, it grabbed and then it went in safely. Do not force these in. Otherwise, you will have a serious situation where you're going to have to either drill them out or you now have stripped out the threads. These aluminum heads are pretty good. Once you get them in nicely, they will kind of go in. Start with your hands, then work your way to the socket, and then work your way to the socket wrench as well. All right, so good luck. Again, you do not need to jack up the motor. Just take your time on all of these. All right, take care. God bless and good luck.